brought to you by the San Luis Obispo County Office of Education and the SLOCO Arts Collaborative. I'm Alyssa with Touching Base, and today we're going deeper into chords. Some you know and many you don't yet.
Ba-dum, 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 boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, 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 boom.
We learned some new scales last time, so let's start with something familiar before we get on into the new stuff. In our fourth video of the series, we talked about chords and how to line them out on the bass with individual notes, also known as playing the arpeggio of the chord. And we talked about triad chords, which are chords made up of 3 notes. And specifically, we talked about major and minor triads. Those are these shapes. In this context, it works like this. 1, 2, 3. So this is a B flat major chord arpeggio. Let's sing it. Do, mi, so, do, so, mi, do, mi, so, mi, do, mi, so. These are the 1, 3, and 5 scale degrees of the B flat major scale. Here's that arpeggio written down for you with the B flat key signature. And as you can see, starts out with the B flat, then we have the 3rd, which is D, the 5th is F, and the octave there, B flat. So here's a B flat minor chord arpeggio. Do, me, so, do, so, me, do, me, so, me, do, me, so, me, do. So those are the 1, 3, and 5 scale degrees of the B flat minor scale. And here's that arpeggio written down for you with the B flat minor key signature. So we know that starts with a B flat, and the 3rd here is a D flat instead of a D natural. The 5th is an F natural, and then we end up back at the octave of B flat. And those notes make up my B flat minor chord. Just like these notes are going to make up my B flat major chord. You can really hear the difference. It's the 3 there that holds a lot of emotion. Both of those have the 1 and the 5 in common. So it's really that one different note that's going to give it that really different sound, that minor versus major sound. So let's do an exercise to the metronome at 100 BPM, outlining the arpeggios of B flat with quarter note beats. Here we go, 104, 4. Want you to hear it? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now. 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2. Now add the octave. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Now, let's do B flat going to E flat major. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this. Just back and forth. What I'm doing right now is called staccato notes, where the notes are separated from each other. Here's legato. question. If we're in the key of B flat, then what is the note E flat relative to B flat? If you said it's perfect fourth or just it's 4 of the scale, then you get a gold base star. So let's sing the G sharp minor arpeggio. Do, me, so, do, so, me, do.
Here that is written down with the G sharp minor key signature if you want to take a gander.
Now let's do that same exercise with the metronome at 100. Outlining the arpeggio of G sharp minor. 1, 2, 3. These are the 1, 3, 5 scale degrees. Play it staccato. Now legato. Those long connected notes. Now add the octave. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to this. Now go to C sharp minor. Switch in between the two. Now staccato. And do it like it's going to the octave. 1, 2. Lots of ways we can play with these arpeggios. You can really hear the difference. Now, if we're in the key of G sharp minor, then what is C sharp minor in relation to that G sharp minor? It's the 4 chord. Good job. Now, I know you got your major and minor triads, so it's on to something new. There are 2 more types of triad chords that we're going to talk about. They're called augmented and diminished. So augmented chords are major triads with a sharp or raised fifth, also known as an augmented fifth. So it's a little dissonant, a little spooky sounding for a major chord. In an augmented C chord, for example, the notes would be C, E, and then G sharp. So 1, major third, and then that augmented raised fifth. As opposed to that regular C chord.
And here I've written it down for you in bass clef. I didn't write the octave this time because you don't need that. You know, it's got these 3 notes. We start off with the C and the major third here, which is E, and the sharp fifth, which is a G sharp now. Try to think of augmented as raising or sharpening because you're sharpening that fifth note of the scale, which is the G sharp. And for a regular C scale, that would just be a G. And here's the shape that you can do anywhere on the bass. The little black dot I've shaded in is going to be your root note here. And the next note you're going to hit with your middle finger, that's the major third, and the one after that is the raised fifth, which you will hit with your pointer finger. Here's the other augmented shape I'm going to show to you, and for this one, as you can see, it looks very similar to the major arpeggio shape, but with the third note of the arpeggio, you just go up 1 extra fret.
So you can set your metronomes now to 110, and let's do an E augmented arpeggio exercise. And that shape would be here. 1. This is the easiest way to do that shape on the bass. Diminished chords are minor triads with a flat or lowered fifth, but you say a diminished fifth to impress your friends that study music. So a diminished C would be the C, and then the minor third to the C, which is an E flat, and then a G flat.
With diminished chords, think of it as subtracting or flattening. That's how you'll remember what to do here, and you will flatten the fifth. And you're always dealing with a flat third too, because you're dealing with a minor third. It's got a root, a minor third, and a flat fifth. And I've written it out here with the C minor key signature with 3 flats.
So it's very close to a C minor chord, but with that 1 and that minor 3, but then it has that diminished fifth. So for a C minor arpeggio, we're used to doing this, but instead it would be sounds cool, doesn't it? It's used a lot in jazz.
Here is the diminished shape, and you can do that anywhere on your bass again. The shaded in note is the root there, and the shape itself is very close to the minor shape. It's got the minor third that you're going to hit with your pinky, and next you'll go up to the higher string and with your middle finger hit that diminished or flattened fifth, which is also the third note of the arpeggio and the third note of the chord.
So we're going to do an exercise with diminished arpeggios. First, set your metronome to 110, and we're going to outline an F diminished chord. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Get used to that shape. That's staccato. Now I'll try legato. Yeah.
I've written it down for you here too, for you to take a look at, with the key signature of F minor, which is also relative to A flat major. Normally in the scale of F minor, I would have a C as my fifth, but here I've written down a little flat symbol, meaning we're diminishing it or flattening that C.
Now how about to a C diminished? It's right below that F. Now interchange them. So the triad chords are building blocks, but we can actually add notes to make bigger, more colorful chords. Let's start with chords that have 4 notes. At some point, you're certainly going to run into what we call seventh chords. The seventh chord starts with a triad plus one more note, the seventh of the scale. It can add some serious flavor to your playing. Really jazz things up. So maybe we want to form a major seventh chord of C. We take a major triad of C, E, and G, and then add the seventh, or the major seventh interval, which in this case is B. It's essentially all of the odd numbers of the scale. So here's the arpeggio.
Here is the major seventh chord arpeggio shape with the shaded in dots being my root note and octave. So it starts with that, and then we have a major third, a perfect fifth, and a major seventh, which you will hit that note with your ring finger after doing the 3 notes of your standard major chord arpeggio.
So here's a C major seventh on the piano. It has a very specific sound, kind of jazzy. Jazz and classical music use these chords often, but there are lots of popular songs that use them too. And it's written like this, C major seventh. Just remember it's got that major seventh interval within that regular C major chord. Grab your metronome. Let's put it at 1:15 in 4/4. So D flat major 7 going to a G flat major 7. The arpeggios of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so there's just the D flat. Now there's my G flat. I'm just going back and forth between them. So what scale degree do you think we will use for a minor seventh chord? Well, if you said 1, 3, 5, and 7, then you're correct. Again, with those odd numbers. We start with a minor triad and we add the seventh of the scale, which is also that minor seventh interval relative to our 1. So here's the C minor seventh chord. You take that C, E flat, G, and then the seventh of the minor scale, which is B flat. Boom, there's my octave. C minor seventh, here it is on the piano. It's written like this.
Here's the shape on the bass. Start this wherever you want, and you're going to make it like a minor triad arpeggio, just adding the minor seventh of the scale from whatever your starting pitch is or your root note.
Let's start off doing G minor seventh arpeggio. So I start off with my 1 there, and then when I get to the octave, I just go right back down. 2, 3, minor 7th chord arpeggio going to a C minor 7th chord. Good job. The next chord we're going to learn is what we would call a dominant 7 chord. So if someone just says, play the notes of an E flat dominant 7 chord, or even if they just say E flat 7 and don't specify major or minor, then you need to play the 1, 3, 5 of the E major scale, but also add a flat 7, which is also known as a minor 7. It's a very jazzy and cool chord.
For an E flat dominant 7,
We'd have the 1, which is the E flat, a major 3rd, a perfect 5th, and a minor 7 for that dominant 7 tone. They're often written as just E flat 7, so just chord name plus 7.
here's the E flat dominant 7 with its 4 chord tones. I use the E flat major key signature to describe this to you, and of course it starts with an E flat. Its 3rd is a G, then I've got a B flat for the 5th, and instead of a D for the 7th, I've flattened it, so we have a D flat. And here's that shape for the dominant 7th chord, which you can start anywhere. Those black shaded dots are your octave and root note, of course, and you make it almost just like a major chord, but adding that minor 7th or flattened 7th, also known as the dominant 7th.
In the case of a C7 chord, it would be a C, an E, a G, and then we would have a B flat. And that would be a C7 chord arpeggio. Doesn't it sound cool? So let's play the arpeggio of an A7 chord. And that would be A, C sharp, which is my major 3rd, then an E, which is my perfect 5th, and then we have a G. So that's my minor 7th right there.
I've written it out for you here. I didn't do any special key signature, so the notes are all natural unless specified in this case. And here I've specified a sharp where my C space is, so the rest are all natural, actually, with this A dominant 7th chord.
So sounds just like that. So get out your metronome and we'll stick it 115, and we're going to do an A7 to an E7. So those arpeggio notes, that specific shape. That's an A7 right there. Then the E7. Now I'm going to switch between them both. Here is the G7 arpeggio. Ascending and then descending. So how about G7 to C7? Yeah. to know if you come across these chords, but they're also great if you want to use these notes in bass lines and give it that jazzy flavor. So major 7, minor 7, and dominant 7 chords are the most popular 7 chords used, but there are more that you will see. First, I'll tell you about the half diminished 7 chord. It goes along with our diminished triad that we learned about earlier. Look at that, full circle today. So what's a diminished triad if you need a review? Well, it's a 1, a minor 3rd, and a flat 5th, or a diminished 5th. And in the case of C, that's C, E flat, and G flat. For a half diminished 7th chord, you have C, E flat, G flat, and then B flat, because B flat is our 7 here.
I've written it down here for you. No key signature as well. And instead I've got the little symbols that will tell you whether you're supposed to flatten the note. And we know you don't even need the note names here, but I've added them too in this next one just in case you would like that. But we're going to get you to the point where you don't need that. You're just going to look at that note and know what it is.
It's also called a minor 7 flat 5 chord, but that's a really long name, so people shorten it. But it basically is what it says. It's the same chord tones as a minor 7 chord, except the 5th is flat.
Here's the half diminished 7th arpeggio shape on the bass. It's very close to the minor 7th shape, except it just has the flat 5. The little black dots are your root and octave. And for this one, I've got you starting on the E string, and then you'll move up 3 half steps and hit that next note, the minor 3rd, with the pinky. And then with your middle finger on the A string, you'll be hitting the flat 5. And then with your pointer finger on the D string, you'll hit that 7th note, minor 7th.
So here's how it sounds on the piano. These chords add a lot of tension. And here for 7 chords, we only call this one half diminished, and that's because of their cousin, diminished chords, which are fully diminished and named just a diminished 7 chord instead of half diminished like this one. This leads me into diminished 7th chords. So can you ascertain why that might be, the difference between half and fully diminished? Well, it starts like a regular diminished triad, but we add a diminished 7th, which is code for a flat 7th. So before that 7th, we were working with a B flat here, but now we're going to flatten that last note. So in the case of C diminished 7th, we have a C, E flat, G flat, and then B double flat.
Here's what that looks like on bass clef. Again, no key signature or anything, so, as if we're in the key of C major, but I've got the little flats there where there would be the E, which is E flat, and then G, and then 2 flats for the B double flat. And I've also written them down here for you as well. So when you see a B double flat like this in the wild, you're going to look on your bass where you normally would conceptualize the A note. And yeah, here are your notes for a C fully diminished 7th chord.
So you might be confused by that last one, the B double flat, so let me explain. The 7th there is already flat. So the other 7th chords have minor 7ths, which are considered flat 7ths. The only one with a major 7 is the major 7th chord. This diminished chord furthers that by flattening the 7th again. So this note is also what we call an A, and you can think of it like that when you're finding it on the bass. But in the case of reading music and music theory, it's a B double flat because of its function within the chord. that.
Here's that shape for you. It's not exactly the easiest shape to make, but it sure is fun. So here's the other option for that shape, and they're both the same except that seventh note. You can either hit it with the A string with your pinky, or you can go up to the D string and hit it with your pointer finger. So you've got some options, but it's very similar to your regular diminished chord, just adding that seventh.
These chords are eerie and full of suspense. I'll show you on the piano. So that's all the chords I'm going to teach you today, folks. I know it's a lot. You learned a lot today. So great job. Thanks for sticking with me, and stay tuned for next time.
Ba-dum, 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 boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, 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 boom.
1, 3, 5, 4, Matt.
Oh, yeah. 1, 3, 5, format.